Alright, so moving on. Let's see what we can find to go the other way. So we have a standard equation and we want to get eventually into vertex form. Well, there's a couple of things that we need to know. Remember before we had a point and a vertex. Well, a point that's really easy to find on the equation is the y-intercept. And remember that it's 0, b. If I let x be 0, first term cancels, second term cancels, and we have plus 10. So it would be 0, 10. If we use algebra to find f of x, actually, yes. To find the vertex of f of x, we would have negative b over 2a. Negative b would be the opposite of negative 12, so it's positive 12, over 2 times a, which is 2. So that's really 12 over 4, or 3. That's the x term. To find the y term, we're going to do f of 3, which is going to be plugging and chugging. 2 times 3 squared, so that's 2 times 9, minus 12 times 3, which is minus 36, and then plus 10. So this gives me 2 times 9 is 18 minus 36, which is actually negative 18, and then plus 10. And that will give me a negative 8. So my vertex, I think, is 3, negative 8. Okay, and we can verify that. Let's go verify it with the graph. This was the original version of my equation, and I want to make sure that I found the right vertex. The vertex for that one is going to be 3, negative 8. So we did it right. So now we know the a point, and we know the vertex, so let's find the vertex form. We know that x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 10, because that's the point that we had. And we know that h is equal to 3, and that k is equal to negative 8, because our vertex was 3, negative 8. So we need to solve and find a. So y, which is 10, is equal to a, which I don't know, but in vertex form, then I have times the quantity x, which I know to be 0. And it's a positive 3 in my vertex, so I write minus 3, quantity squared, and then minus 8. If I add the 8 to the other side, I'll have 18 is equal to a times negative 3 squared, which is just going to be 9. And if I divide, 18 divided by 9 is equal to 2. So I should have my equation to be y is equal to 2 times x minus 3, since my vertex x was positive, minus the 8. And I asked, did the same thing happen to the a values? Yes, they were both 2. So look back at the original function. It says, and factor it. So I want to take us back to the graph for a moment. So here's the equation in the orange, and if you remember, the very first thing I had you do last week was to look at multiplying lines. So we had it as 2 factors. Well, or 2 lines look like factors. So if you look at this, when I have my x-intercept here and my x-intercept on the other side, those, if you remember, told me what my factors were going to be. Since this one is 1, then remember those are the opposites. Inside the parentheses is always opposite. So I have that factor of x minus 1. And if I have 5, my factor is going to be x minus 5. So I'm really, since we haven't really talked about factoring, I'm going to help you see how to factor using the graph. The a is the same, so I have 2 in front of those 2 lines. And I get the same, if I get rid of the orange one, it'll become purple. I know they're exactly the same. So my factors are 2 times x minus 1, x minus 5. And again, that's because my x-intercepts were positive 1, 0, and positive 5, 0. That's where my 1 and my 5 came from. If this is 4 negative 4 and this is positive 4, because x would be equal to negative 4 and x would be equal to 4. Graph that equation to help solidify that. X plus 4, x minus 4. My x-intercepts are negative 4 and positive 4. So that's where they came from. X plus 4 gave me negative 4 and x minus 4 gave me positive 4. And if they're going to be equidistant, then that will tell me the vertex x. Halfway between the x-intercepts is the x of the vertex. So negative 4 plus 4 is equal to 0. So let me make that look a little bit better. Here's my negative 4. Here's my positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Backward 1, 2, 3, 4. My vertex is x is going to be equal to 0. And to find the y, to make sure that I know what my vertex is, g of x is equal to 0, because I know what the x is. I just need to find the y that goes with it, plus 4 and 0, not comma, minus 4. So that's going to be 4 times negative 4, which is negative 16. So this vertex, not a very good sketch, but the vertex down here is 0, negative 16. And again, if we look at our graph at the vertex, we found the right one. So it wants us to put it in standard form. To put it in standard form, we're going to multiply. X plus 4 times x minus 4. X times x is x squared minus 4x, and then we do the inside one, plus 4x, and the last two are minus 16. And negative 4x and positive 4x cancel each other out, and we're left with y equal x squared minus 16. And if I want to put it in vertex form, and then we'll verify all of these. My a is 1, so I know it is 1x squared. I know what the vertex is. It's 0, negative 16. So that means that h is equal to 0, and k is equal to negative 16. And that's all I need, because I need the x and the y to verify that I have an equation. So y is equal to a, you don't necessarily have to write 1, times x minus 0, you don't necessarily have to write it minus 0 when it's 0, but we will, and then minus my k, or plus my k, which is negative 16. This can also be written as just plain x squared minus 16, but in vertex form, that's the way it's written. This verifies that my standard form was right. If we look at the graph to do that, I have, here's my x squared plus 16, and here is my x minus 0 quantity squared minus 16, and they are all the same graph. You don't see any other graph on there. I am going to let you do the last page. The only thing I'm going to do for you is tell you what the answers are, so that when you get done, you know you did it right. And the challenge is you don't have to do it. Not required. So that's it.